Outer Orange.
Привет, welcome back at Orange here. Today we are here to discuss a pretty unusual deck, a deck that a lot of people don't really know about. It's called Mediell. It's a card that came out in set 3 of Lyrical Monasterio for Vanguard, and today I wanted to kind of give you guys a rundown of this deck, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. Right, so here we have Mediell, a very, like I said, very underground deck. Before we get started, we're gonna go ahead and top out the sleeves and the deck box I'm using for this one. Deck box wise, I actually chose to go with the Kobayashi deck box, just a really cute little deck box that I have here. I don't remember how I got this or how I obtained it, but I just kind of have it. So there's that one. And then for the sleeves, I'm using the Nanaha sleeves for the Ride deck sleeves. And then for the regular sleeves, I'm using the Babsagra sleeves. Nothing too crazy here. Some people ask about my outer sleeves. These are the Dragon Shield ones. Not my favorite, but right now, switching over to the 50 card deck, I've been kind of struggling getting all my sleeves in order. So I've been using some random ones. And then I also have this triple sleeved actually with like multiple layers on the Ride deck, just because sometimes I like to do that. And that's basically that. So let's go ahead and talk about the actual deck. We'll start with the Ride line, go into the actual deck, and then maybe do a little mulligan run, and I'll show you guys how that all works. So we're gonna go ahead and start with the 0. You can have whatever 0 you want. I'm using the Kyoko one just for absolutely no reason. It's just what I had since I built the deck when I first got into this deck, and I just grabbed whatever starter I saw. Grade 1 Mediell doesn't do anything when you ride to 0, but she does have an effect when she's rode upon by the grade 2 with Mediell's card name. Basically, it says you can take a grade 2 from your drop, grade 2 or less, and call it to the draw to the board, and you reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a normal unit, the card you called stays stood, and if it's a trigger unit, you rest the card. Now it sounds kind of bad, but on place abilities activate off this effect. It also makes it easier to discard. And then also on top of that, if you run the grade 1, this grade 1 right here, it actually goes around the effect. So even if it's a trigger or not, you'll get the effect either way, which is also just really useful, really good. So I really like the effect, but some may disagree. Some people don't like this ride line as much. I didn't really like it at first, but it's starting to grow on me. You can also run the Ballista ride line instead of this, which also works really well. Grade 2 Mediell says when she's rode upon, you can check top 3, stack 1, discard the other 2, which can be kind of a downside. You would think like, oh, you might discard triggers. It actually is very useful because whatever you stack on top, you'll know it. You can plan out your entire turn when you ride up, which is extremely useful and extremely handy. And if you're like a really good Mediell player, you'll usually plan your turn very perfectly off of this effect. Last but not least, we have the Mediell herself, and her effect says you can counterblast to reveal the top card of your deck, and you basically activate the ability based off the top card. First effect says if it's a normal unit, you can take a card from your drop and call it to the board, and that card gets whatever you call it gets a crit. And the second effect, if it's a trigger unit, you counter charge and call a card from drop as well. So basically one counter charge, one gets you a crit. The normal unit one also states that card that you reveal, you can add to hand, which is very crucial. Overall, you always want to go for the normal unit ability over the trigger unit ability, as it's way better in every situation. And now with the new cards that we got from Trick or Treat, you even more so want the crit pressure over the other one. So you really want that first effect. So we want to aim for the normal unit effect almost every single time. Triggers are nice, don't get me wrong. If you see like a really important trigger, of course go that route. As you learn the deck more, you'll find out that sometimes you want to actually piggy into the trigger unit route, but for the most part, you prefer to have the normal unit. If you run 1 Chalice, this deck really likes Persona like a lot. I will say you can substitute this for something else, because the downside to the Chalice, this is the Regalia's piece, the downside to this card is an order, and you'll notice on her effects, there's no order effects. So if you happen to check the top card as this card, nothing happens and you will lose the game. Of course, it's the only order we run in the deck, so the chances of this happening is very unlikely. Chances are you'll draw into it first before anything happens, or if you see the top 3, just get rid of it. Next, we have Persona, the only other grade 3 in the deck, actually. So just Persona. Outer Orange, at least, but I just call her Outer Orange. I did get these frame rares. 1, they're actually really cheap, or they were cheap at the time. And 2, it's basically my avatar, and I just think that's really cool. I also just really love the art of this one. But this card is very important. This is basically your beatdown card. She gets a 5k when she attacks a grade 3 Greater Vanguard. When she plays from drop, she gets an effect to restand herself. The condition is that your Mediell has to attack. So as long as your Mediell attacks, you can so fast to restand them. They get their attacks, but you have to get them from drop. So they have to come from drop. And now the deck has a plus side where you can actually get 2 of these out, and they'll have crits on them if you do the normal unit approach. So if you go the normal unit route off of Mediell herself, you will basically have crits on them, 5k power, and they restand. So these get very brutal. You can swing with them, restand them, swing with them. You can also swing to rears and, do that if you need to. You can also, like I said, call other stuff, but this is basically your win con. Very important card to see. You definitely want to find these as fast as possible. Just FYI, all the grade 2s in this deck are like insanely important. I think every single grade 2 in this deck, including the Ride deck grade 2, are just massive important, and they're what swings the game. Everything else is kind of like toolbox, and then the grade 2s is what kind of pushes the deck. Ninon, I just call her the top tech girl. But anyway, basically this card is very simple. When placed on rearguard, if you have a Mediell Vanguard, you look at top card, you can put it to soul. You can choose to leave it on top. If you choose to put in a soul, then you look at top card again and you leave that card. So basically, she helps you reveal soul while also checking 2 cards, which is very important because it really helps you dig. Prepare for this because you'll know what your top card is. So it's a very important card. Cycling this card as much as possible through drops and effects, or early on, you can actually revive her off of the ride line. Very important card. I think this soul is really important as well because this deck does soul boss quite a bit. So you definitely want to see these. These really help to get through your deck faster because the time that Mediell really falls off is when you're constantly seeing triggers on top. So you definitely want to fix that by using cards like these and just get through your deck as fast as possible. Next, we have the new card. This is the other reason why this deck got a lot more powerful. This is the card that basically made the deck significantly stronger, in my opinion. So this card says if you have a Vanguard Mediell's card name, you can put this into Soul and choose one of your Vanguards, and to the end of turn, when a card would be chosen by the actability of your Mediell, the actability of your Vanguard, you can choose 2. So basically, this says if you revive a card, revive 2. And you can revive any 2 you want, and it's really, really nuts. Also, the fact that she goes into Soul is really good. It sucks that that's the only thing this card really does, but it's actually really, really useful. Sometimes you won't see the outer oranges, but it's okay. You'll see like other really useful cards like the Scribe Girl, or you'll see like some grade 1s or something like that you may want to call out. And surprisingly enough, it does come up. You can actually revive herself as well. You can Soul Blast her out and then revive her. That's another option. You can keep recycling her, so you don't need all 4 copies in order to keep going. This is the grade 1. This card is very useful. So she has 2 effects. The Soul Blast is surprisingly enough extremely strong. I know it's a Soul Blast 2, but it's actually really useful. So she says Soul Blast 2, choose your grade 3 or greater Mediell, Vanguard, and basically if whenever they were to counterblast, you lower a counterblast. So Mediell's effect is a 2 counterblast. This basically puts it to 1. And their second effect says is when something is placed from drop, that she gets 5k. This does work early on too, by the way, so you can actually leave her on the board and then use the ride line effect to call something else, and then she'll get 5k. So she's a 13k beater really early on. If you open like a lot of these early, you can actually just like deface with your opponent, and you can do some crazy rush turns with this. It's actually pretty interesting if you open up that way. The only downside is you're opening yourself to denial promo card, but it's gotten reprinted quite a few times, so it's not that expensive anymore. I think it's like cents now, but this is Livora. I didn't really like Livora at first, but now I do. Basically, her effect says, I'll talk about the easier one first. So basically, if something is in front of her, that thing gets 5k. So you want to put it on the oranges, basically. And then her other effect says is when she's placed, if you have a Vanguard with Mediell or Hazelet in this card name, all your trigger units on rearguard and deck are counted as normal units. So again, we're trying to meet the normal unit condition off of Mediell. So you can place this and guarantee that you'll get the normal unit condition, which can be very impactful. Otherwise, she's basically an 11k because she's 6k, but she gets 5k to something else. So she just gives you the extra power boost. This does come up in some sort of situations where it's really good. I will say it's a mandatory effect. The red text is mandatory, so if there's a situation where you don't want this happening, do not place this card. So be very cautious how you use this because sometimes it can go against you, so you gotta play it carefully. Next, here comes the stuff that's kind of like you can run it, you cannot. It's kind of up to you. But I run the 4 Reese's. I have a lot of I value the Reese's a lot. They basically on place give something else 10k. Anything, by the way, that includes Vanguard. So you usually want to target the oranges, but you can also early on like target Vanguards, target boosters, target that grade 1 I was just telling you about. Like this becomes a 23k beater. You can do some funny stuff, especially if you open them up early, and you can just like throw them down. Also, you can revive them as well with the double revival, so you can do some stuff there. I like this card. It's definitely been really useful to me. I run Mouse. In this slot, you can also throw in this and keep the Chalice, and just have that. Up to you. This card's actually pretty good, to be honest. I was kind of iffy about it at first, but it is an extra top deck checker and all this stuff, so you can kind of toss and turn. I'm testing between these two. Maybe I'll do like 1 and 1 or something like that, like something like this. I don't know yet, but basically this card states, this is the Mouse. This is the new card from set 4 as well. On place, you can take two of your ride deck cards and put them back into the ride deck and get the effect. So on rearguard circle, you can choose the same card name as your Vanguard and put it to your hand from your solar drop. Very important because this gets you access to Persona. And the effect gives you 50k power. 50k shield, which is a 20k shield. The 20k shield does come up, so that's probably the best part about this, is that you can get that. And this deck Soul Blast so much that you will have access to your ride line to then send it back with the Mouse. So her effect can sometimes find you Persona, and you're like, oh no, I have to shove Persona into Soul. That's fine. You can just Soul Blast and then get it back. So it's not the end of the world. Also, again, the 20k shield's really, really nice. Just PGs, you'll notice Sanctitude is not in here. As I mentioned, the Sanctitude does turn off Mediell, so it's something to keep in mind. If you're really scared of, obviously, Stride decks, which you should be scared of, they are pretty scary, especially the new ones that are coming. Then, of course, put the Sanctitude in and just accept the fact that you might just whiff somewhere. The normal unit PGs really help because guess what? These go back to your hand if you reveal them off of this. You get PGs back. You get PGs to hand, which is really nuts, by the way. It's very, very useful. We have the heals, Over Trigger, is I'm running this OT. You can run the red OT. Honestly, any OT is really good in this deck. The blue one's really good too because you get to get cards back to hand, which is pretty useful if it's more mid-game. So, or you can run this one just for the extra raw power on the restands. It makes the restands more insane. Next, we have draws. I might actually up a draw just because I'm noticing this deck really wants to see draws. We're in a weird spot right now where we have a 50 card deck, but we don't have the energy stuff. So the extra draw does come up. So I've been thinking about pushing this to 4 and then pushing one crit back to 7. It is a thought. I'm not 100% set on it yet, but it is something that I'm thinking about. Don't need the soul crits. They're actually not very useful in this deck at all. So these can be 5Ks. Don't worry about it. You do not need the soul crits at all. Honestly, the triggers really don't matter that much as long as they're the triggers you want. So as long as they're crits, cool. We're going to do a quick mulligan run here and then I'll probably end it there. All right, hopefully I shuffle this enough to where we'll be okay. So let's go ahead and check our, actually first let's roll the dice. We got a 6. Opponent got a 6. We got a 4. Opponent got a 6. So we'll be they'll be choosing. Chances are they'll probably choose first. We do have choice now, so say they choose first. It's kind of a little harder to know now because there's a choice system, but this is our mulligan. We're gonna send back this, one of these. Probably gonna keep these 3. Surprisingly enough, he actually wants to. I always value PG, so I'm gonna keep the PG. That's what we got. Let's see what the. Surprisingly enough, if we actually sent back the PG, could have gotten an orange, but it's okay. So we're gonna go ahead and draw a card. Probably pitch this girl here because we can revive her next turn, and then draw another card. And there's orange. And then we're gonna just go ahead and swing, get the drive check, another orange. Cool. Or that works. We'll take a damage. It's the grade 1. We are gonna need that kind of thing, so hopefully we'll find that. Here we can either revive this or Reese's, but we're gonna actually pitch the orange right into the 2. We're gonna take the scribe girl and call her, and then use the ability of this. It's a trigger, so this will stay rested, so we'll just keep it back here. And then we have her effect is kind of mandatory, so we're gonna check again and just leave it on top. And then we have the Reese's in hand, so I'm actually gonna try and apply a little pressure here. I'm gonna call the Reese's here, give this 10. So just to make it a little bit more beefier, because now they have to like basically super guard this or take the crit. So go ahead and swing, get the crit, put everything there, and then pass it back to our opponent. They went first, so they're probably gonna try and beat our face in a little bit here. That's not good. This is the first time in a while since I've seen those. We're probably gonna pitch a little bit, guard a little bit, and then pass it back to us. So go ahead and draw. Oh, this is pretty good actually. We'll pitch a draw trigger, go into this, activate the ability, check top 3. This is actually perfect. So we're gonna definitely put the persona on top, mill these, and that basically sets that up. So we know that the top card is a normal unit, so for sure we're gonna go ahead and activate her, put her into soul, get the double. One's on grade 3, so all our effects are basically live. We're gonna go ahead and call this just for the effect, and then we do have to counterblast 2 unfortunately because we don't have the grade 1. Check the top card. It's obviously the persona, add to hand, and then we'll go ahead and call orange. We're gonna call orange 1, orange 2. And then we're just gonna go straight into battle. We're gonna swing. It's a pretty small number, it's just 15, but it has crits on them. So both of these have crits on them. Then we're gonna swing with this. Swing with the Vanguard here. That top 3 is pretty interesting. There was no triggers, so okay, that's cool. We'll put the draw. Doesn't really matter. This is pretty small. Doesn't really matter where we put it, because this actually is a 20k. I forgot about the 5k here. This is 26, and this is just 15. I guess we'll just put it here, and we do draw a card. Hey, that's really good actually. And then we'll use the Soul Blast ability to restand both the girls. They're back, and then we're gonna swing and swing again. This is for 21, 26, and this is 25. So swing, pass it back to them. So now they're gonna try and kill us. We're gonna go ahead and hit a trigger, hit an orange, probably intercept here, because we want those in the drop, and then we'll probably just guard a little bit, and then pass it back to us. And we should be able to kill here because we're gonna have persona. This is basically our last turn unless like we heal like crazy. We're gonna go ahead and persona, draw a card. So we do so we do a persona active now. So we have the extra 10k there. And then here, yeah, we just going for game. So we're gonna go ahead and show this into soul again. We get the ability. But the only downside is we actually don't know what our top card is, which we're gonna have to, maybe I should have waited a turn to call this, but we're gonna have to kind of hope. We're gonna counterblast 2, reveal the top card. And it is a normal unit, awesome, so we'll add that to hand, and then we'll go ahead and call our girls back out again. This time we have the persona on top of that, and this has the additional 5. So basically they are plus they're 25s, and this one's actually at 30. So we're gonna go ahead and just go straight into battle. Swing with this unboosted, and then you're gonna swing here. You can boost 2 if you want. And then we're just gonna go drive check. Oh, that's good. Crit. Yeah, by the way, these have crits on them again. So just FYI. So crit, we'll just maybe put it here or here. It doesn't really matter where we put it. I guess we'll put it here. And another crit. Okay, sure. So chances are, depending on the damage that they're at, you could split these, put everything on one side, put on Van if they said no guard. We got a lot of options here, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. And then again, Soul Blast 2, Soul Blast her, Soul Blast another ride deck card, and restand both of them, and swing again. And this is basically lethal. This should be game. It is weird that we're not seeing our countercharge end, but it's cool. We can live another turn. I don't know if we'll be able to use the effect another turn, but we can live another turn. We can definitely guard, take here, get the Reese's, and then probably guard away and go again if we want to. The only downside here is we don't have a counterblast. Oh, okay, never mind. Persona, draw. So we're back again, and we actually have access to exactly what we need here. So we're gonna go ahead and call over this card right here, and we're gonna Soul Blast 2. Can I do that? Yeah, I can. We're gonna Soul Blast 2 for the effects. We're gonna Soul Blast our ride deck cards. So now if we were to counterblast, we counterblast once. We do have access to her. Show her just soul. Activate the ability again. The only thing is, again, I don't know what the top card's going to be, but I guess we'll find out. So we're going to counterblast 1 now. So I haven't been showing my counterblast, but they're right here. We're at 5 face down now. Reveal the top card. It's another normal unit. It's the mouse even, which is even better. So we're going to add it to hand, and then we're going to one more time for the 20th billionth time call out our oranges, and we have exactly enough soul to do everything we want to do. So again, the power gets buffed. Now since we actually have her on the board, her power also goes up. She's now at 13k since we called cards. So basically we're gonna again swing for 25, swing for 30, and then we're gonna swing here with the Vanguard. Gonna do our drive checks. There's the other grade 1. Another draw, we'll put it here, basically wherever. Draw a card, that's our draw. And then use the abilities one more time. Soul Blast 2. Restand both of them, and then swing. And that's, again, if that wasn't game, I don't know what else could be. So yeah, that was Mediell. I hope you guys enjoyed that. This is probably my favorite lyrical deck right now. I know I say that a lot, but I definitely am really enjoying this deck. It is insanely fun to play. The topping, I'm not really a fan of top deck checking usually, but the way this one works with the drop zone just has me so intrigued, because as you guys know, I really like drop zone decks. So the revival and the pushing and the checking and the Chris, the restanding, it's everything I love in the deck. And surprisingly enough, like just having a deck that just doesn't rely on orders is just a really nice change of pace for me, because a lot of decks do rely on orders and this deck just doesn't. If you guys enjoyed this, FuzzyParadox, code orange for all your goodies. If anything you need, we have a bunch of divine stuff coming out, just a bunch of stuff in general dropping, a lot of like new sleeves, just a bunch of stuff happening. So code orange for all your good stuff and all that. Otherwise, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope this like inspired you to try Mediell. I think this deck's insanely fun. It's not broken by any means. It definitely dies to like random stuff. Sometimes it dies to itself. But if you go first, you can go crazy and just kill your opponent randomly. It's actually pretty funny how lethal this deck can be. But it's super fun. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Other than that, guys, peace out. That's been out. See you guys in a future video. Bye.